Great. So we're going to start off. Why don't you introduce yourself and share who you are, what you do, and then just kind of like how it's been going.
So I'm Laura Chattington. I'm from Offer Accelerator Live. I help coaches and entrepreneurs go from low ticket to high ticket. I help them pitch their offers. I help them scale their businesses. And as Stacey said, we originally met in Texas. We kind of connected over I think the thing that really connected with me, that connected with her, that connects with others is I love the idea of doing business with people at a deeper level than just, oh, you want my offer? Good. Did it pitch, sell. And the thing that attracted me to what you were doing, Stacey, was the idea of the Offer Accelerator, which is about attracting in lots of different ways the people through slightly more authentic communication, attracting those people to your business. And part of what we do, we help entrepreneurs create high ticket offers and why they need to do that and how they can do that, but also feel really comfortable pitching and selling their stuff as well. And when I saw you speak in Texas, I was kind of like, oh, I love the idea of this. I think it's so much more congruent. And I have spent a kind of many years fascinated by the world of communication and connection and influence. And it was kind of all wrapped up together. So that was really why I got involved.
Yeah, I love hearing you say that. I'm just seeing you guys join. I'm just going to say hi to Paul. Hey, Madeline, good to see you. And Allison joining us from Los Angeles. And hey, Jana, good to see you. Allison said, attracting people through authenticity and affinity. Wonderful way to approach and helping people to be authentic. And yeah, like it's sorry, I've lost you. Hold on. I have to find you again. It's like the dance between Facebook and this stream is good. But yeah, it's it's that, right? It's being okay, not feeling like, I think so many people think you have to be perfect, whether you're creating an offer, you're building an audience, you're going live. It's like you need to be this like box, and either that makes you not want to do it at all because you think you have to be a certain thing when you show up, or you're just open to whatever happens is meant to happen, and the people that are meant to see it are going to be the people that need to see whatever it is you're wanting to share.
I kind of learned this lesson from you again. I'd learned that lesson before a few times, and the first time, I think I told you about this, is I'd done a lot of public speaking training. I learned sort of 15 years ago that I thought public speaking was cool, and I was like, oh, that looks cool. Very scary, but once you get over that scariness, you sort of go, oh, there are tools, you can master this, you can really get your message across. And I became very proficient at public speaking. I had the toolkit and I had everything in my pocket. And I went through this phase of like, I mean, I must have been presenting for days, probably days of time if you added it all up. And I went on through this phase where every time I went on stage, I was like, and this was like real stages. So this is way before sort of COVID and lots of virtual stuff. I would sort of be facing the audience and I'd be starting to like second guess, freak out. And I went to this mentor of mine. I was like, do you know, I really thought I had this down. I really thought I had and he was like, yeah, Laura, you just need to be more vulnerable on stage. And I was like, oh, and this was in my corporate suit with my corporate look. I was being told to be vulnerable. And I was like, no, I'm not going to be vulnerable on stage. And I kind of went off, and I know this guy very well. He knows me very well. And I sort of went off and I was like, I was sort of you could see the steam coming out of my ears. And 2 days later, I was like, oh, he's right. It's really annoying, but I know he's right. And so I sort of went back to him. I was like, you know, annoyingly, you're right.
Annoyingly.
And from that point on, and this again, it's years ago. From that point on, I then started to open up on public speaking stages. I started to be more vulnerable. I started to show more of myself. And I really noticed that people really connected. And in those days, people would come up to me after the speech and like, oh my God, they tell me their life story. You really connect, you know, and because you show vulnerability. And when I sort of met you and sort of got involved with this, it really reminded me that actually, and social media is such a world of perfection, isn't it? Everyone's like, oh, I've just done blah, and actually you were encouraging people to connect based on some more vulnerable moments and just being, you know, stripping back all of that facade. And it was a really good, I was kind of like, it feels like my online version of that offline experience, right?
Yeah, I love that. I love hearing you say that. And I also think, like, we just talked about this right before we went live, and I'd love to kind of almost have you share that so we could stay here for a minute. But it kind of works with what we were doing with this beta audience incubator, because you're able to like start in the private group, right? And like throw it up, and then you're able to like then decide what parts of it you want to.
Yeah.
So to maybe talk about that too, and why like that whole safe space is important too.
So I think that's, so the idea is that there's a private group where you can go on, and Stacey very kindly makes you do things that you're probably uncomfortable doing and talking about things that I've had a bit more practice than most, so I'm a little bit more, I'm used to being on camera, I'm used to all of that stuff, but being able to talk about some of the challenges, some of the things that challenge you, and being able to be more open in that group and get used to what it's like to be on camera, and that you don't have to be perfectly made up, and you don't have to be wearing your best stuff, and you know, it's a kind of like, you know, hands dirty and play pit maybe.
Oh, I love that.
Where you can be yourself. And the thing is that because it's in that supportive environment, and with you as well, people are like, you're getting feedback, right? So all that stuff that's going on in your head about I'm not good enough, or this isn't good enough, or blah, 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 blah. People start connecting with stuff. You're like, oh God, I thought that was my worst video, and that's the one. And so using that environment to kind of blurt it out, I think is a polite way of saying it. Blurt it out. And get your thoughts, get comfortable with being honest and talking about the real thoughts you have in your head and how you're really feeling, and then being able to use a bit of chat, a bit of finessing, but not too much, and then publishing that on your public profiles is a good way of taking either little steps or bigger steps, or whatever size steps you want to take. And then once you get it out into the big wide world, the next kind of thing that you get is, and this is the sort of lesson I learned all those years ago, is that's really what people connect with. And as soon as they hear it, I mean, there was a post, remember there was a post on, we did that panel, and there was it was late. I don't know, I can't even remember what I said, but I said something about, I said something about one of my things that really hold me back. And how I articulate, I mean, I just said what I thought, right? it wasn't pre-scripted. I hadn't thought it through. It just came out.
Yeah.
And someone had posted on there like, oh my, you know, and then you got the connection.
Yeah.
Right? So that group is I think it's like it's the safe it's the safe environment where you can kind of get over some of those things that might hold you back before you go out there on the stage of the web, the social media, and start posting stuff. I mean, again, we've talked about this, but posting stuff which is really going to attract, whether it's a potential client, whether it's a relationship, whether it's whatever, it's really going to attract those people to you. And it's very it's the opposite to what everyone else is doing on social media, isn't it? Social media is like this whole world of false, because people only post on what is perfect normally.
Yeah.
And so we all have this vision of like, oh my God, they must be perfect, so I'm not gonna, you know, and actually it's the opposite. It's the real thing. And I think it's such a counterintuitive approach that you have, but actually it's the most effective.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I love that, because I do a Find Your Voice challenge, and that's a 17-day challenge. And there's something about that challenge that is really special to me, where it's safe space and you're getting all the thoughts out of your head. And it's really good for people that are like trying to figure out who they are and what they want. And I didn't have an extension to that, you know, until I ended up doing this program. And it was even unintentional. I don't know if you remembered, but when you started, I originally wasn't even going to do these dares. Your program was like a beta. It's a beta for this, what I'm doing now. And but then seeing you guys through that, like being able to see all of that, and then see that process this last, I feel like it's only been a month, right? It's like been a month.
It feels like a lifetime of like feeling myself.
I know, but it is like, like, this is what I'm calling it now. I think it could change by the time I launch it, but it's like an irresistible audience attractor, because once you like you lose the mask of like who you think you need to be and what you think people need to see, and then you really just like tap in to like what you even want, you know, and who you are as a person, and then that gets out. That's where the heart connection, you know, happens with the person that's seeing it.
And I think also in the incubator that you have, because you can see other people going through, it's comforting, isn't it? There's something about, and people show up in the incubator in a way that is really connecting. It really connects you to those people. And again, I would liken it to my public speaking experience, where I always used to joke and say there are people in my public speaking club that know more about me and my personal feelings than my best friends do. You know, I'm more open. And it reminds me of that, is the ability to, it's an environment to really be yourself and open up. And I think in this world we live in, there's so little of that, and there's so little authenticity, and everything has a way, and everyone's perfect. And if you can't show up in like the best of you, don't show up at all. And I don't know, it's like the social media context sort of culture. And actually what breaks through all of that marketing, advertising, are these authentic messages. And it's what the incubator does, is gives you the, I would say, I don't know if there's like chutzpah, like the bottle to be yourself, I guess, in the end.
So good. Yeah, it's been amazing to just see you jump in. I think I mentioned this during our live the other day, but if you guys didn't see it, Laura was like the first one, you know, like, so I was like,
you said the magic D word though, which was like, oh, you said the magic D word when which was like, oh, my ears, like my adolescent ears jumped up and went, a dare? That sounds really cool.
Yeah, it was so good. Yeah, and so and you got 100 people in your group like the first week, so which was great, because that's what I was like. I'm like, you could get 100 people if you follow this, and you're like, I got 100 people. I'm like, yes.
Yeah. Well, you pressed the right buttons on me, which was, one, it's a dare. Two, if I say I'm going to do something, I will go to the end of the world and back and make sure I do it. But actually, I think I said this to the group. The dare, for anyone watching who doesn't know what it was like the dare is, so step back. So Stacey's very good way of getting you to nudge over any fears that you have or any hang-ups, or trying to do things perfectly and actually doing things in a janky way, is to use these dares, which is incredibly effective. And I think the first day is get 100 people in, and I was like, okay, right, let's get 100 people in a group. How do you do it? How do you do it? I'm very competitive, so my competitive edge comes out, and it's like, right, go and buy them off Fiverr. But when if you buy likes off Fiverr and you say, can I have 100 likes, you then get like 1.5 million. So that's like, obviously that you're cheating. And you're just like, nope. And actually I was thinking, the point of this is not to get 100 in your group. The point of this is to connect with 100 people who want to come in your group.
Love that. Yeah.
And so that my competitiveness was running through every single day, and right. But what's great is actually when you start looking at where you're connected in the world and people you interact with, and there is a system and a strategy to do it. But yeah, set me a goal, and I'm like, I'm there. 100 people in it. I actually think it took me 9 days, because I remember thinking, Laura, you've got other things in your business that you need to get on with as well. You can't like dedicate 7 days to it and not do anything else. There's others, so anyway, so that's good.
Yeah. What do you think helped you, like for anyone watching too? And then also just as I'm like, this offer is still like kind of being formulated as we speak, but what do you think helped you do it? Right. So for someone watching and they want to know, anytime I want to get 100 new people, anywhere, right? Because now you have the skill. Anytime you want to get 100 new people, you could just follow the same system. Just curious. Yeah. What do you think would help? Or what do you think helped you? And then what do you think could help others?
So I think that you called it a wheel thing. I did it in a line. I don't know whether that was...
That's good.
I couldn't visualize it in a wheel. I had to do it in a line. So thinking about sort of where you are, where your client is, where you come from. Yeah. And actually when you start thinking, and I think one of the dares was also who have you interacted with. When you start, actually, if you take some time and I think it was like spend 2 or 3 hours like out of your day. And I walk a lot in London. I walk around, so I was walking around and spend some time thinking about who you've interacted, the groups you've interacted, what you're interested in. And when you start doing that exercise, you start going, oh, and there's that group that I really, I have like eclectic sets of people that I belong with. And so actually, when you start it, like you think about it surface level, but when you start sort of peeling back those layers, you realize that 100 people isn't that much, to be honest with you, in the end. Assuming you've been alive for longer than sort of 10 years, there's lots of places that you can interact with and invite people to who responds to the messages that you put out. And I think actually the key is not the 100 people. The key is taking time out to think about all the things you're interested in, all the types of people you've interacted with, all the types of people you've helped with, thinking about where you were as a person. For me, it was about when I started doing the business that I do now, which is actually more recent than, it's a few years rather than 20 years. But thinking about those people that I've interacted with along the way that I think would be good to connect with. Yeah. And I think once you get like you connect with somebody and they're like, oh, you should connect with those people too. And I think it's just taking the time to spend thinking, which is an unusual thing that people ask you to do in this day.
So good. Yeah, no, I love that. And for anyone watching, I am going to be showing that full process when I do the masterclass and what the wheel is and the timeline. There's a timeline exercise that goes along with it. It's really,
Mm.
really effective and powerful. And it's why you don't need thousands of people to start. And I
No.
just want to say hi to some of the people on Facebook.
Mm.
So, Allison, this is killer. So she said, be vulnerable in your armor. Dang, that is like,
Mm.
that is power. Comfortable with being honest and expressing the real thoughts in your head, plus some chat and finesse. And Jana
Mm.
loves this. Jana's been, gosh, I can't wait, Jana, to have you come on too, because it's like, and I think we all do this. Like if we're people that want to have like, and most likely if you're here and you're part of my world too, and I think part of Laura's world is you're wanting to impact people, right? And that's
Mm.
the other reason why you don't need hundreds and thousands of people anywhere, right? Because when you can impact someone like you, or you can impact someone like Jana, and then you see what that one person then, by like
Goes and does.
and
Yeah.
what they do, it's like, oh my gosh, it like blows my mind. Madeline's here. She started her podcast with the podcast challenge, and like the amount of episodes, I don't have it off my top of my head, but like so many episodes and people she's touched, it's just, it blows my mind, and so I think that's where, if you can almost think of like the people as like a connector point for like other people, and what they're going to do, I think it helps it make more sense that it's okay, to not, you don't need millions of people,
I also think it's I also think it's quality of connection.
Mhm.
It's so. I mean, if you said to me, you can take 100 really connected people who believe in what you do, are inspired by how you can help them, are motivated like you, are attracted to you, and if you said you can have 100 of those people, or you can have 100,000 of random people that you don't really have a relationship with, on statistically it makes sense to go to the bigger number, but actually those 100 people are like gold dust. They're worth so
Yeah.
much more to you in your business, in yourself. And I think social media, we're obsessed in social media, where I've got to have the most likes, the most followers, the most friends, the most blur, the most people in my group, we're obsessed, and it's like I can go and buy 1 million off Fiverr for $5, and that's because somebody has said, if I don't have 1 million followers, I'm a failure. But actually they're worthless. They're worthless, and those 100 people that you can help. And it's a bit like, get this little sort of, it's like high ticket off. It's what I love about high ticket offers. I'm not trying to wheedle my stuff
Yeah,
in
no,
here,
do it. No, it's great because
but
the offer you don't have, you can't, like, it's like, what
yeah,
does Eileen say?
the
I love
offer you don't make is the
Yeah,
offer they can't take. But
can't take. Yeah.
the thing I like about, once you get it, it's similar but different. It's very similar, the kind of emotions that you go through of what you talk about, what I talk about, which is why we connected. But
Yeah.
but the value that I always think, the value, once you get over yourself, so once you've
Yeah.
been in the audience, I mean, maybe I need an offer incubator thing where you can go in and go, oh, I want to pitch this offer, but
Yeah.
once you get over yourself and you focus on the value, the result, how you can help people, actually, if you have less people to help, you can just serve them so much better. And there's so much value for you, for them, that you get. And this obsession that I've got to like make
Yeah.
20,000 sales in my business. But actually, if I could make 10 amazing clients, give them an amazing service, make them amazingly happy, and they invested high ticket, so they were invested in me as well, then that's perfect. That's a
Yeah.
perfect business model.
And so true. And for those of you, I have the launch party for this group. You're in I finally was able to go live in the collaboration network group. So that's exciting. And I have the launch party for the group tomorrow. It's at 1:00 Pacific Standard Time. You'll see why it's better to have like a couple hundred people in a group versus like thousands, because I wouldn't have been able to do what I'm going to show tomorrow. If there was too many, it would have been too overwhelming. There was a moment I even thought of like putting ads on, because once you get to know the group and the people and what they need, then you can do ads. It's fine, especially if you have an offer that you can eventually offer to people, you know, because some people want to do it and some people are just there for the community in the group. Yeah, exactly, the fun.
Yeah.
But and it's all good. I love that model. It's my favorite model. But yeah, like it's almost too overwhelming, you know, like if there's too many people. So I decided to wait, because I like it at a couple hundred right now, while I'm still like nurturing and kind of like incubating the community and really figuring it out. And you'll get, so for those of you that want to come tomorrow, that's going to be a lot of fun. I just want to check in and see how you guys are doing. Oh, Anne Marie's here. Anne Marie, she said, creating an audience profile based on different steps in your journey. I love the way you just summed that up. And I'll be teaching that. I'm going to be doing a training at some point. I'm trying to decide what day still. I'll hopefully know tomorrow when I tell you guys, but I'll be showing that specific system during that. And then Jana, thank you. Jana said she's the best at helping push through fears. And Alison said, chutzpah. So good. And then let's see here. We got Anne-Marie said, value. This is reassuring and encouragement to continue. Yay. I'm so glad. That's so good.
And also, I think when you get once you get over yourself, and I talk about getting over myself, I don't mean that to anyone else, but once you get over yourself, it's so empowering. I can't say that word, empowering. Because again, it's so attractive. It's such an attractive, it's like it's so compelling to see people who are just like putting that kind of stuff. It's so different, it's so attractive. And once you can really, I think you feel free of your, you know, you feel free to be who you really want to be. And that's what you talk about, you know, stripping back those layers. But as a marketer, well,
it's like,
normally I've got balloons and I've got hearts, but I've only got thumbs up today. I think that again, it's so aligned with offers and high ticket. You know, once you can really, really get that out there, I think it really builds momentum. It builds momentum for you, and you can start. You know, you start not caring about stuff, and it's very freeing, I think, to run a business like that.
I feel like it's healing too, because like we all have these thoughts in our head and we feel alone sometimes in it. And you mentioned it earlier where it's like hard to tell your friends some things that you could tell other people. And that comes back to like my whole kind of mission in life is my people, which is the M in I'm game. And my people, a lot of people used to confuse it with like-minded people or like your friends that are like-minded, but it's not, it's different. So you've got your friend network, your like normal support network, and then you've got my people, which is people that have a shared goal, you know? And so that's why it works so well. Whether it's you're creating offers, you're building an audience, you're getting your thoughts out of your head, it's because you're in a space with other people that have a shared goal, you know, that don't think you're crazy for doing what you're doing, you know, that they're accepting, you know, of you wanting to go after your goal. Right. And so, so I love that we're kind of like bringing
it's
that up.
Connection, isn't it? It really is connection. And I think on lots of levels, I think that there are things we want, there's the goals we have, there are things we want to go for. And then there are things that hold us back, and there's a real conflict there. And and in that space, I was talking about this earlier, in that space of conflict is really where people want to make change. So whether you are connecting and becoming in the same group, that's cool. Whether you're providing a solution to whatever that pain is, you know, that is really where you get people and you connect with people. Because when things are okay, we're too busy, and and I think if you can find that point for the people that you surround yourself with, that's where you get real, momentum and connection, and you feel good about it. And so, I mean, I was about to say we've never met, but we have. But there's lots of people
Yeah,
I've met online, which are
right.
like that. I feel like that I'm going to tour the world one year around all the people I know or I've worked with or be my clients, and
Yeah.
but you have these great connections, and it's not because you met them in real life. It's because you share some aspirations, some conflicts, some goals, and that's where they make more sense to you than perhaps those people around you in your
Yes.
town where you live, right?
And that's like the killer of all dreams, is because you tell someone your idea and they are like, you're
Like,
crazy.
what?
You want to do that. Yeah. And then
You'll
you're like,
never do that.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then you potentially, you either go on your own and then you feel disconnected and isolated from the people around you, not knowing that you just need to connect with other people that share the goal, or you
Yeah.
decide to not do it because you're like, oh, maybe they're right. Like maybe it is
Yeah. Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
think there's like people can be quite cynical. If they can be quite, especially people that have known you for a long time, and I'm not criticizing my friends or anything, but people can be, they don't see you for who you are becoming, perhaps.
Ooh,
And
yes.
so they can pull you back. And as you say, I mean, I do most of my business. I think I have one client in London. Most of my business is globally. I don't think I even speak so much about my business to the people around me in London, and not because I couldn't even begin to explain. I always feel like that. Like I can't even
You can't even start.
explain what offer accelerator. They'd be like, "What?" I'm like, "So," they'd be like, "What?" So I think that connection, when you find it online and in these kinds of environments, you're just like, "Oh, thank God, I thought I was going mad, but no, I'm not. I'm, it's
Totally.
it's it's
So true.
cool."
Yeah, no, it's really true. It's really true. So I would love to now go into the incubator part of it because we got to meet, which was cool because you had the 100 people in your group, and I'm like, great, let's kind of like incubate your group now because originally that wasn't part of what
Yeah.
we were doing. But then I'm like, okay, you're action taker, let's incubate it, and then you then shifted because you had your masterclass, right? And I
Mhm.
remember you saying there was like one thing that happened, and then we did that thing, and then you were able to see what people wanted and the language they used, and then you had,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you mind kind of like going through that a little bit? My
Sure.
dog's like
Um,
staring me down to let her out.
Let the dog out. So part of what we did in the group, so the process of the group is to ask people questions when they come into the group. So
Mhm.
that you ask them a question like, "What's your biggest challenge?" or something like that, and it goes into a nice spreadsheet, so it's all automated, and that's awesome. And we were running a master. We've run a couple of them since doing the group, and the first one we did was based around um, doing high ticket offers, and I can't even remember now. It's like at least 2 weeks ago. High
Yeah,
ticket offers and like 10xing your business, something like that,
yeah.
right? Going from Struggleville to high ticket offers and 10x your business, something like that. And what we did is people were coming into the group and they were answering. One of the questions was, what's your biggest challenge when it comes to high ticket offers? And we also ran a poll as well when they came in, as when we first started, which was like, what do you want to know? How to create your high ticket offer? What is a high ticket offer? I've got a high ticket offer, it's not converting, or I've got a high ticket offer and it is, those sort of different parameters around what our masterclass was on. And looking at the feedback that came through, we then shoved it into chat. And chat is really there to make all the random thoughts in your mind align in a sentence, isn't it? That sort
Yeah.
of that helps me sort my head out.
It also helps figure out common themes and
Yeah,
patterns too. Yeah.
exactly. So it
Mhm.
speeds up. I always say that, anyone who's afraid of chat GPT, don't be, because what used to take 3 months now takes like an hour, and that's just getting stuff in. So using chat to analyze that data, which you could do yourself for
Yeah.
sure, but it would just take you ages and you'd have to concentrate really hard, and you can just paste it into chat.
Yeah.
And chat came back and said, these are the things that people are interested in based on what they have written down. So using their words and everything. So we actually then shifted or pivoted on the headline of the masterclass. So it was like how to go from low ticket to high ticket. That was because that was what was coming through.
Right.
And build an engaged audience. They were the two things. Go from low ticket to high ticket. How do you do that? So therefore, why do you do that? How do you do that? And how do you build an engaged audience around that? And the engagement that we got from shifting those two from first one to second one was, I think, 300% more.
Wow. That's
Even
great.
more than that.
Yeah.
And so that audience the audience will tell you exactly what they want, what they need, what their hang-ups are, all of that stuff, and being able to process that and directly respond to that. And you feel like it's less of a stab in the dark. It's much more aligned with what people want. And so the engagement and the show up rate to the masterclass was better and all of that. And that was just in a tiny space of time.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's amazing about like the system, right? Is just because it's like, whatever you want to do, you're able to do because you have people around it. Like, so whenever people, it's funny, you're good at this. Like, and I'm like, I want to channel you with this, but like, I cannot even like think of what an offer is. Like if there's no people around it, but you have enough experience where you're able to do that. Right. And so for me, it's like so cool when you're able to like take what people want and then you could turn that into like your high ticket offer, I just feel
I
like
think it,
amazing.
and that whole thing, again, I come from a background of marketing, like in a not necessarily social media, but just marketing principles and things like that. And it's simply that whole thing of give people what they want, tell people what they want, and give people what they need.
Yeah.
And it's so simple. And I think one of the hardest things for entrepreneurs and business owners, they've got like this idea in their head of what everyone needs because they know they need it. They know that if they want to get to that result, they're going to have to do X, Y, and Z. But that doesn't get people through the door. And I always say it's like you have to get people to walk through the door and then you can give them what you need. But you have to tell them what they want to hear to get them to walk through the door. And the audience incubator does that job. It gets them through the door so that then you can give them everything they want and everything they need at the same time. But we as entrepreneurs, we're so focused on the process and knowing exactly what they need and thinking, we were talking about this the other day, is like there are things you think this is going to be awesome, everyone's going to love it, and you put a poll out in the group and you're like, I'm going to do this 5 options and your best option, which is like way better than the others, no one cares about. And
I
you're
know.
like, oh, and there's a bit of you inside that's like, oh, that's a shame because I really wanted to do that bit.
I know. I'm like obsessed with reverse engineering your person. I'm like literally obsessed with it. And no one picked it. No one picked it.
Yeah, I know. It's like the geeks in your business. You come out and think they're definitely going to be interested in this.
I know.
But they're not.
Yeah.
They're not. And that's what's so powerful. And it's not that you can't give them the reverse, but that's not what they're going to buy. That's not what they're going to invest in. That's not what they're going to invest their time in. And so that is a huge shortcut. And what is even more powerful than, because that's logical, right? That's logical. But if you are doing that and you're on a basis of 100 very engaged people, it's so compounding in the power of that for your business, because you've got you're giving them exactly what they need and the people in the room are exactly the right people. So that's more powerful than running an ad campaign. That's more powerful than standing in front of 10,000 people. You know what I mean? That if you can get that right. I mean, obviously, as you say, you can run ads off that. You can stand in front of 10,000 people. You can do all of that. But that is hugely leveraged there. And I think the other thing that I've just made me think of something else. The other thing I learned was, and I think I said this in the audience incubator thing, is what is most personal. So I learned in public speaking, what you're feeling is, and that's most personal and the vulnerable bits. Oh look, there we go. Ta-da! I honestly don't know how I do that, but
I don't know, because mine never does that, but everyone else
I'm full of balloons and fire. I think it's because I talk with my hands. I'm like, Sonia. What is most vulnerable and personal, and you think is the last thing you're ever going to share with the world, is actually most general and is actually what everyone else is feeling. So if you say that and you're in a group of connected people and then you model an offer around those, I mean, it's gold.
So good. Well, what can you say? So I'm looking to see who's here. So we have, Dr. Minnie's here. Hey, Dr. Minnie. She said a little shift can create massive change. So good. Yeah. Oh, Allison said, we're not going mad, at least if we have one another to support and keep each other on track. So good.
Well,
yeah. And then she likes the distinction of my people connecting with those who share your goals. Thank you. So yeah, we have podcasters here. Paul's here, he's a podcaster. Anne Marie's a podcaster. Minnie has a podcast. So let's talk about like just that even alone, like creating offers, right? Let's switch gears. So we're creating offers. What should we like? And then a lot of people that have a podcast, that's a great place to start, right? You're used to sharing your message, and now you're like, I want to monetize it.
Freudian slip there.
Podmatch came on, and he was talking about monetizing your podcast, and he was saying even like sponsors aren't as good as it is to just create your own offer. So what do you think is good, there to like as a good starting point, or to just go all the way in, like for high ticket?
I mean, I think it depends on where you are and where you are in the relationship. I think what's great about doing the group, what I love about the group, for instance, is that it is a very low barrier to getting people who don't know you necessarily very well into a place where you can repeatedly communicate to them. So if you have a podcast and you're like, okay, hey, why don't you buy this $10,000 offer of me? They're gonna be like, well, I just listened to you for like half an hour. I didn't like it that much. Didn't like it that much, or I didn't believe you that much, or maybe there are things that you say and they connect and jump on a call, right? So, but I always think that people, again, it's like that reversal thing. So what we want people to do, because we know we can help them, is jump on a call, listen to where they're challenged, and say, hey, I've got this great offer, here you go. And that would be a perfect world, wouldn't it? But the world doesn't work like that, because they're like, who are you? And lots of people feel uncomfortable about getting on that call, and they want to find out more about you. So I think if there is podcast is a good way to do that. You can find more about you. What I love about the Facebook group and the audience incubator environment is that connection is very low. That, I can connect, and you're not making me do anything I don't want. I don't have to make a commitment, and I don't have to, you're not going to make me, you're not going to sell me in something I don't want. All of that is removed. And so what you're doing is you get people into a group or an environment where they can keep getting value and connecting. And then, like, for instance, in our group, we then invite people to a masterclass where we want to take them through a process of transformation and information and all of that stuff. And what's happening, what it is, it's know, like, and trust, right? It's building know, like, and trust. But for your business, you have more, I don't want to say control, because that sounds like I'm trying to control things, but you have more time to build the relationship. And I think people need to know, like, and trust you. They're not going to hand you over $50,000. I mean,
Yeah.
it depends on your credibility, right? Depends on
Right.
how much credibility and authority you have. But even so, when you sell a high ticket offer to someone, they've got to be convinced that you can deliver what you deliver. They've got to be convinced that they want the result, but also they've got to be convinced that they're confident in themselves. So I
Mm-hmm.
think the podcast, the Facebook group, all of those things are low bar commitment things that enable people to get to know you, as is the masterclass. You're in an environment where people get to build know, like, and trust and understand what you offer. And then I think making that high ticket offer in whatever context, it depends on you, right? It depends on what's
Yeah.
comfortable to you. But people get hung up about high ticket offers. They're like, oh my God. I mean, we spoke about it. I think you were like, oh, it sounds really sleazy and salesy. But once you understand
Yeah.
why there's so much value for everyone involved, then, and so what we're doing in our masterclass, in our Facebook group, is to show people why and what it is and how they can do it. And that process enables them to make an investment in themselves, right? Make an investment
Yeah.
in the offer. I don't know
Yeah.
if that answered your question, but
It does. No, and it just reminds me of where I was before I had a high ticket. And technically, I don't know, I think mine's mid ticket is what you would call it,
yeah.
because I'm still not ready yet to like go to the high number.
Mm,
But what I saw now that I'm delivering it, it's
mm,
life changing. Like it's literally
mm,
like, I mean, the access that I get to have with someone now in a more intimate, like even more intimate and more time and more attention, I'm like, it's
mm,
like you get to see even bigger transformations. And I say that
mm,
because like, you might say like, oh, if someone was going to spend $5,000 with me, and I'm talking about you who are, those of
mm,
you watching, like you might say, oh, that's crazy. Why would they do that? But they don't know what you know. You know what I mean?
mm,
Like it's like they would pay anything sometimes to
mm,
know that thing that you took
mm,
years to learn, that you had to like blood, sweat, and tears. Like even right now, it's so funny with my on-demand stuff. I feel bad sometimes charging because it's like on demand. But
mm,
I used to. I don't anymore because I just worked my butt off for like
mm,
4 months, like literally, like I didn't even like we stayed up till 1 a.m. working, trying to like get this thing, like with videos and like make it like perfect. And I'm still doing another upgrade. And like the amount of time that I'm taking, I'm like, I'm good now, and now it's like
mm,
any time that I'm not spending delivering it live, I'm going to be able to like look at things more intimately. My point is it's cool because like you work hard in the beginning and then you're able, like
mm,
depending on what you're offering, and then you're able to like then automate and evergreen whatever it is, right? And so the people that get it first, they're getting the biggest access to you. And then as
mm.
you've like done it and as it evolves, it's like less and less of you has to be given.
I also think that, and a high ticket offers, it sounds it's quite a marketing term, isn't it? But actually, when you sort of
Yeah.
understand more about it, um, high, it's the value. If you say, oh, I spent 4 months on it, well, you probably spent 4 months putting it together, but you probably spent like 10
Yeah,
years getting
totally.
to the 4 months that you could put it together,
Yeah,
right?
like the life assets, right? Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
the assets
yeah,
thing, and it's like when you think
yeah,
about all the assets, all the skills, all the training you've had, all forget about even like stuff you invested in, although that's a
yeah,
lot, but just life skills that
totally.
you have that you can, one of the things is that I always talk about with our client is like, how do you shortcut it? How do you
Yeah,
shortcut? I don't want to spend 10 years. Just give me it in a day or a weekend.
yes,
I'll pay you more. I'll pay you more.
yeah,
Because if you can do it for me faster, I'll pay you more. That's more
yeah,
valuable to me. I don't care if you recorded it. If that gets me the result, I'll pay you more. And I
totally.
also think that, and I can hear it in your language as well. I know that we all go through it. We all go through this process of, oh, I don't know if I can charge high ticket, and maybe I'll, I did it as well, right? And then it's a headspace thing. It's about when you sort of reframe to the client, and the more
Yeah.
high ticket service you can provide to someone, I always think the more you can provide a quality of service to them for a result,
Yeah.
and the more you can put into that, the more likely they're going to get that result, the more likely they're
Yeah.
going to commit. And if you think about a high ticket offer that you have invested it, like I remember one of my first ones, I was like, I probably marched up and around the house and down the garden and,
Yeah.
about for 3 days, like, am I going to do it? Am I going to do it? And as soon as I did it, I was like, oh, it was like relief and excitement, and they hadn't even done anything yet.
Yeah.
But I
No,
was
it's
just like, so there's so many different layers of value that you
yeah.
can give to your client. And the only thing that's standing in your way is your hang-ups about, whoa, maybe they don't value it enough because I only did it for 4 months. Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, it's true. It just, I forgot about this until we're talking. I remember why I was like, I have to do this. I have to charge more. I was doing
Mm,
Find Your Voice, and it's between
mm,
$100 and $200 for that challenge,
mm,
and depending on what's going on with it and what I'm offering at the time. And I'm like still messaging everyone, like
yeah.
checking in and how's it going and following up. And I'm still like, I'm treating it like it's because I
Mm,
care, like if
yeah.
someone's going through something, then I'm like there. And it's like, you can't, it's not sustainable, to do that.
Mm,
And so that's when I realized I had to do it. But anyway, yeah, for you guys watching, I definitely think it's worth it. I mean, your master classes are free, right? Like they can come to
mhm,
your masterclass, they can learn all about it and see if it's something they want to do, or just like take whatever learning that you're able to get from it and then
mm.
apply even just that.
Yeah, yeah. Join the group,
Oh yeah,
Alpha
the group is
Accelerator
yeah,
Live, which is the group, and
yeah,
we're always in there doing great content and interviews in there. Or the masterclass, which is offeracceleratorlive.com, and come and see everything that we've been talking about today. And I'm always like, it's such an amazing transition for you and your business and for the people that you work with, by being able to like when you say, oh, I charge everyone $200, I'm just like, oh god, it just sounds like loads of admin. It sounds like loads of admin to me. That
yeah,
sounds like, I'm not good at admin. um but
yeah,
and it, there's it's such good quality once you can really, and it ups your game as well, because you can't sort of go, oh, it's only $200, I'll get round to that 6 months down. It
right.
just brings quality and results and just relationships and everything. It's a really good shift and pivot that you make in your business, and it does a whole lot of awesome things. Like you get to your financial goals faster, right? You get to
Mhm.
you make more money, in a way that is like how you dreamed about when you first started your business. You didn't start your business going, I want to be faffing around with 200 people over $200 products.
Yeah.
It's a way you can impact and make a difference, and I think that they're all the things that
Yeah.
it enables you.
This is so good, Laura, because some of the people here, they were in my podcast challenge. So I'm just going to speak to you guys for a minute. Anyone else that wants to hear this is, if you remember when you started your podcast and you were like, okay, what am I going to say? Who am I going to talk to? Is anyone going to listen? Like all those things that come up, right? Whenever or is the tech going to work? And then you get through that, right? And now you have your podcast and you're connecting with people. You're like, oh, I actually do have a lot to say. It's our
Mhm,
life experience, like what Laura was saying earlier. It's our life experience. It's our lived experience. It's the thing that we walked through. It's the thing that we struggled through. There's that offer is in there. And sometimes
mm,
you don't know what it is yet until you go to something like Laura's group and you're able to like see like, what
mm,
is this thing that I'm able to like offer the world, and that's where the ideas start. And you might be
mm,
sitting there thinking of something right now that you're
mm,
really good at, that people would need to know. So anyway, I definitely recommend you guys join her group and go into all her stuff, because she's definitely aligned with what I do, and like with the do the thing work. And I think it's been amazing to just meet you and be a part of your your journey also.
And I think thank you. And I think the other thing is sometimes you don't realize how awesome you are at something, right?
Yeah.
Until people are like, oh, that would be really helpful. That would be,
Yes.
and you're like, oh, does that not, so
Yeah.
it is it's a great personal development experience, isn't it? Having a business. And I think that's one of the best personal development ways that you can go. So yeah, come and check us out. Come to
Yeah.
the group. Come to the masterclass. Do the thing. Do the audience incubator. I know so much more about myself since I did it. And yeah, no, it's been an awesome experience to do that process. And I know that you've been going through a sort of iteration process, but actually the core part of what you're doing is spot on. So it's been absolutely awesome to do it.
Yay. And what would be kind of like if someone was asking you about the audience incubator, how would you describe it to them? I'd love to hear. Putting you totally on the spot. I love doing that. It's so fun.
No, it's cool. I'm gathering my thought. I think the audience incubator is a highly magnetic attraction process or system, should I say, not process, system that uses the way the world works. I'll just say that rather than social media strategies, all that, but uses the way the world works to really attract people to your message, your business, everything that's about you. And I think that combined with building a business or accelerating your business or anything you want to do in that business and surrounding yourself by the people that you want to be surrounded with is what Audience Accelerator is about. And I think there are so many layers to it that along the way of doing, you come into it going, I want a better audience, or I want a bigger audience, but along that audience attraction system process experience, you get this parallel universe of self-development at the same time, personal development at the same time. So, and what comes out at the end is where those 2 points combine, I think.
Wow, that's so good. I'm so glad you said that because that was the original plan. I was like, I got to help them grow their audience. I put that in there. And then I was like, I almost cried that day after because I'm like, I need the dares. It doesn't work without the dares. It's just some like artificial kind of like your Facebook group. Yeah, that anyone could like teach. It's the dares are what make it, special. So yeah, thanks for noticing that. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, this was fun. Thanks for joining. And thanks, you guys. Paul said, great getting to know you better, Laura. So this is so good. And Dr. Minnie said, this was great. And Marie said, thank you. And thanks so much, you guys, for joining as always. And we do have the, what is it called? The launch party. Like the launch party.
This is where I need balloons, which I won't be able to.
I'd love to see you guys joining. It's going to be a lot of fun. I've got a whole thing prepared where I'm like literally going to show you the group and you interacting for the last month. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Has it been a month? Yeah, it's been a month. The last month. So it's going to be, oh my gosh, this whole, whoa. Yeah. So look forward to seeing you guys. And thank you, Laura. Thanks for just being in this space with me. And I love doing all of this with you. It's so fun.
Yeah, so. Likewise. Thank you.
Yay. Awesome. And do the thing. Don't wait for opportunity. Create it.